Injury report, Tainaseki with the ankle, continues to make progress, and we will go from there. He'll be out in some role. We'll see.
So 2 days since everyone talked to you on Monday, how much scarier is watching Lamar Jackson on film now?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't change. Really good offense, really good team, well coached. They're good at what they do. Obviously, it's a unique challenge for us and probably for most teams around the NFL because of the system that they run. So, we continue to work through it and be a challenge for us.
Coach, as much as you prepare for those unique looks that you're talking about, they're used to the tight ends, etc. As much as you prep for it, is it still, when you get on the field and see it for the first time, a little bit of a adjustment, no matter how prepared you are, because it is live, 100 miles an hour kind of thing, or can you get on the ball real fast with it?
Well, I think that's what you're seeing is there's a lot of teams that have not gone against it, albeit they have played some teams twice and they've struggled both times. So I think at the end of the day there's an adjustment and give them credit, give credit where credit's due.
Sean, speaking of unique things that the Ravens do, it seems like fullback has kind of fallen by the wayside across the NFL, but not only do they have one, he's like 300 pounds.
Yeah.
What have you seen on tape about how to use this walking mountain?
Yeah, I mean, he's a good player. They've got I think that's the value of in this case where John Harbaugh has been there with his staff building this for X amount of years is the continuity, the consistency, being able to build it the way you want to build it. You're seeing good football players at all positions, talented, not just on the offensive side, but the defensive side and special teams. You can always count on them being well coached, having a good kicking game. Just being around John in Philadelphia like I was, they're a motivated football team week to week because of his leadership, and they're a physical football team because of his leadership as well.
Sean, a lot's changed obviously from the beginning of last season when you faced these guys there. But one of the biggest is that you have a defense now with 10 returning starters, and then other pieces that you have added in. Do you feel that overall this is just a better equipped defense to handle what comes its way? Just the amount of progress it's made from the beginning of last year to now.
Yeah, I would say so. Just overall, I mean, we've been through some things as a team. We've been through some things, to your point, defensively. We've got a good group of guys that work hard, smart players, tough players, and they are every week. They're what I've found at least, and I'm sure the coaches would echo my feelings is these guys put all they have into every week from a preparation standpoint, regardless of the opponent, and a lot can be said for that.
John, what do you think in the last game of 40 against the Browns back in Week 4? Really, since then they've been one of the best defenses in the league. What do you see that has made them be so stingy on defense in the last 7-8 weeks?
Yeah, overall, again, I think that as the season unfolds, you find your stride, you find your identity, and so when you go through things, right, as we've talked about in here quite a bit. So they've made adjustments. Again, they're well coached. They trade for Marcus Peters, so they continued to add to what they have, and then I think that's helped them.
You talked about the importance of building up front on both sides of the ball with their offensive line and their running game. I mean, how impressive is that on film?
Yeah, I mean, that's they do a really good job of that. That's the physical part of one of the physical pieces of their team, and controlling the line of scrimmage, trying to control the line of scrimmage, offensive line, defensive line. So that's that third phase of the special teams cannot be ignored because, I mean, that's in John's wheelhouse and is one of his biggest strengths.
Coach, with respect to your offense, I think a lot of people are of the opinion there's been a certain gelling and stride that it's hit here in the last month. What area have you seen maybe the greatest maturation of a group that had 9 new players in their starting 11 at the beginning of the year?
Yeah, I mean, just overall, players understanding their roles and what they're being counted on each play in terms of doing their 111th, really. And then within that, finding the leaders within that unit, in this case the offense, of the guys that are counted on to lead vocally, the guys that are counted on to lead by example. And I think that usually as the season trends, you figure your team out in terms of what you got in the different roles and everybody doing their 111th.
Sean, what are your feelings on Ron Rivera losing his job? What did he mean to you? What did you learn from him about leadership?
Yeah, just this, unfortunate to see. I learned a lot from Coach Rivera, and leadership-wise, football-wise, off the field-wise. He did a lot of good things, I thought, in Carolina, some of which I was there for, and had a front row seat to experience, and went to a Super Bowl, multiple division titles there in the NFC South, which was not an easy division by any means. A lot of good quarterbacks in that division. So I thought Ron really did a fine job, and I mean that with the highest praise possible. When I say fine, I'm saying he did a heck of a job, I thought. And sorry to see that happen, but I know God has a plan for him, and he's going to be just fine.
What did you take from that, from your time working with him there, in terms of your own development as a head coach?
Well, I thought one of the best things that Coach Rivera did was, he was always out amongst the people. He did not lead as much from behind the desk as he did from out in front. He's a people person, and when we talk about relationships and leadership, that's when you talk about leadership, it really comes down to relationships and people, and I thought Ron did a fantastic job with that.
I know everything's happened pretty quickly, but have you had a chance to speak with him at all?
We communicated via text, but I wanted to give him the privacy he so deserved right now. So.
Sean, there's going to be a lot of comparisons between Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, given the fact that they're part of that same draft class. What did you see in Josh? And there was a perception back at the time that you wanted more of a pocket passer after moving on from Tyrod. Is that a fair assessment that maybe that's why this team preferred Josh over a guy like Lamar?
Well, let me start with Lamar, and then I'll move on to our quarterback. Lamar is we spent some time with Lamar, went through the process with him as well, and like I said the other day, he was a fantastic player then, and he remains a fantastic player. Great young man, at least in our interactions with him. It wasn't so much about that as it was, we wanted Josh Allen and everything that Josh Allen brought to Buffalo, and so that was the right fit for us. So no disrespect at all. It's obviously the Ravens got a fantastic player, and credit goes to them, and we feel good about where Josh is.
In some ways, are we seeing the future of the NFL with quarterbacks that are with the mobility that we've seen Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun, Josh, and Lamar?
I think that remains to be seen. I mean, it is an exciting time, I would say, around the NFL because of such young, dynamic playmakers like Lamar, like Josh, Mahomes. I mean, the list goes on, whether it's quarterback position or other positions. So it's an exciting time to be around the NFL.
Sean, I know you don't like to talk about things that are more than just the game ahead, but what is the mood around your team right now, given the fact that for the first time since you've been here, you guys are really in the driver's seat for a playoff spot and not just, worrying about scoreboard watching, getting help from other teams, things like that?
Yeah, I mean, our guys are really, and this comes back to the veteran leadership. They're very focused on the Ravens and this game. Quite honestly, this is such a good team we're playing in all three phases that we don't have. With all due respect to that, we don't have the time nor the margin for error, if you will, to focus in any other area right now than the Ravens.
Sean, Robert Foster saw an uptick in snaps last week. What's it been about his progress that allowed him to earn those opportunities?
Yeah, just playing fast. He's playing fast, much like he did the first year, and I think that'll continue as we continue to move forward.
There have been times this season when John Feliciano's had to slide over the center, and he says it's been easy for him because Josh does a ton of the calls and the protections. Where have you seen him grow in that area?
John or
No.
and Josh, and so the
in
answer is
calling
about Josh, or the
protections
question,
and
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, again, part of his development, Josh, and with just his growth. And he relies on those guys as well. It's a good checks and balance, which is what it should be. And Josh is playing good football, continues to grow. He works at it. We got a lot of confidence in him, and he's just going to continue to develop as a person and as a football player. And so it's, Coach Dorsey and Coach Dable doing a really good job. And that room, as I said before, with Matt and Davis in there is a good room.
Is his smarts a little under the radar, maybe? Josh's, talking on Josh?
I guess not to us, but I don't know what, you guys, you drive the perception, so we know what reality is.
Where have you seen the biggest jump with your quarterback this year?
Just development overall. I think whether it's to Josh's question on the, understanding defenses, a little bit NFL-style defenses, and that's natural for the progression from a first year to a second year. Just mechanics a little bit, and I think just command of the overall offense, which is to be expected. And but he's worked at it. Those guys that come in and they expect their second year just to be better just because it's their second year. Josh Allen works his tail off.
Sean, what sort of changes did you see out of Ed Oliver after Jordan went into the starting lineup?
I think just overall, Ed has displayed that he's about the team, and that's what we want. That's who we are. That's part of our culture. And that said, though, he has not. I should say he has stayed hungry, and that's been a part of the reason for his growth of late, in my opinion. He played fast last week in Dallas and started to do some things that he'd been working on, and I think as he continues to work and put time in, he'll continue to get the results. Usually those two are connected, habits and results. So.
Hey, Sean, I asked you about this a few weeks ago about Ed Oliver, but the fact that he is an undersized guy, do you think he is starting to figure out how you can beat these bigger men that he's going against? Because it looks like he has lately, but have you noticed an uptick in the way his technique has worked?
Yeah, overall, I mean, for all players, coaches the same. There's an adaptation period, right, where you take your game from what it was to what it has to be at this level. It just takes some time to adjust, and that's true for anyone, and I think Ed in this case as well.
Sean, from an attitude standpoint, what do Shaq Lawson and Jordan Phillips add to not just the defensive line, but this defense as a whole?
Yeah, they're like I've said before, they bring a lot of energy. They're catalysts in terms of our energy, our juice, physicality. Letting those guys flow is kind of how I like to look at it. Those guys they bring a lot to our football team.
Sean, from last one, guys, talking about perception, like from an outside perspective, the way you performed on Thanksgiving Day as a team, you guys look very comfortable on a national stage type game. Can you talk about maybe that dynamic internally, how much of a confidence boost maybe that performance gave your team, and the approach, how it's affected going into a game like this with a lot of them behind the AFC?
Yeah, I just think overall, our guys we're being us, and our guys understand what's expected of them. Going back to the earlier question, I think Vic or Chris asked about just, hey, roles. Everyone understands their role. We may not be fancy, but we believe in what we do, and I think the guys, when you do that and you give them great clarity, there's a lot of power in that, and that was our message, and it'll continue to be our message of let's do what we do.